Good morning, Algebra 1, or evening, or midnight, whenever you want to watch this. So we're on to week 4 of our remote learning, which means we're going to start today with chapter 8.3, multiplying polynomials. So chapter 8.1, we talked about what is a polynomial, and then we added them and subtracted them. Chapter 8.2, we multiplied a monomial with a polynomial, which is a little easier than what we're doing today. But today we're going to multiply two polynomials together, which is more tricky, but it's the same ideas from 8.2. So if you learned in chapter 8.2, that will help you a lot here. If you want to review, go watch that video again or come talk to me. Okay, so real quick, we're going to do a little bit of warm up and a little bit of review. So let's look at the review. We have this is a monomial, right? Mono means one. So here we only have one piece. It's one term in math. And why do we call it one term? Well, in here, we'll call it, this is one term. Can't write today. All right, one term. Why is it only one term? Well, we don't have any adding or subtracting in here, right? It's 6 times x cubed times y squared. If numbers and letters are just next to each other, that's multiplication. So here, no addition, no subtraction, no plus, no minus. So that's good. That means that it is a monomial. Now I can make it into a polynomial. Let's do that. This is going to be let's say plus 3x squared y. Okay, so all I did was I put a addition into it and another term. So now we have two terms. This would be called not a monomial. Now it is a type of polynomial. It is a binomial now. Bi means two. So now it has two terms, the red term and the blue term. Okay, and they are separated by a plus. It could be minus. So with that in mind, let me make a trinomial. Minus 2x. All right, but now it's not a binomial. Now it is a trinomial, like triceratops, it's 3, or tricycle, right? Bicycle has 2 wheels, tricycle has 3 wheels, trinomial has 3 pieces, a red term, the blue term, and the green term, and they're separated by adding and subtracting. So today we're going to multiply two different polynomials together, where last time we multiplied one monomial with a polynomial. So it's a little bit harder, but it's not a big step up, just more steps. Okay. All right, so the way that we are going to do this, there's two different techniques that people like to use. They're actually both the same thing. They're just how it sets up for you, how it looks when you do it. So you can pick which one you like. So we're going to start with the distributive property, okay? This is how we're going to multiply these two different binomials together. Okay, so we have, what if we have 2x plus 3 times, well, parentheses, and then another parentheses, x plus 5. Okay, so because it's two parentheses together, that's multiply. Here's a binomial. 2 terms. Here's a binomial, 2 terms. So we can't just distribute like last time. We have to use something called the distributive property. And what that lets us do is we're going to split this and this. So you pick one of your polynomials and split it so that we can multiply them both with that. So we're going to make two pieces of the problem. 2x, let's write it down here. We split it up. So this term needs to multiply with that whole parentheses. So let's do that. Multiplied by x plus 5. Okay? That's part of it. Now we bring our second term that we separated. So it's going to be plus 3. And that 3 needs to also multiply with all of this parentheses. So it is x plus 5. It's a little squishy x plus, but okay. Okay. Now it's just 2 of the problems we did on the warm-up, right? 2 simple distribution problems. Multiply and multiply and multiply, multiply. Okay? Let's start on here. 2x times x, 2x squared, right? Because there's invisible 1, invisible 1. Add up the exponents when we multiply the bases. 2x times 5. Well, it's going to be positive, so put plus. And 2 times 5 is 10x. Okay? Then over here, we have 3 times x. Well, it's positive. Positive 3x. Nice. Then 3 times 5. Well, it's going to be positive 15. All right, that is the answer, but we don't want to leave 2 of the same variable separate if we can put them together. This is a different variable because it's squared, so it's a different term. So we'll bring that down. 2x squared. Okay. Then 10x plus 3x. We can add these two together to get 13x. And it was still positive, so it's still plus. And then plus 15. Okay. So really, this method is just doing 2 problems of what we did last time. Okay? Last time, because look, it turned into one piece that's a monomial by binomial, and then another piece that's monomial and binomial. So when we had 2 binomials, we just made it into 2 easier problems. Okay? And it's really not that long, right? It's 2 easy problems that we made. All right. Do another example. But this is an example of the other technique, the FOIL technique, okay? So when you FOIL, it's the same power. It's still distributive property, but the way that it looks is a little different. So let's try an example. What if we have 4a minus 5 and the other binomial is 2a minus 9. Okay? And we've done this before. The name FOIL should be a little familiar. What we do with FOIL is first, outside, inside, last. We're going to multiply those together. So what's the first here and the first here? 4a times 2a. That's the firsts. Now we're going to do the outsides. This is on the outside, the 4a. And way on the other outside is negative 9. So we're going to multiply those together. Okay. Let's go with purple. Okay. Now we go to I. Inside. This negative 5 is inside. Right in the middle here. Inside. So this is an inside piece. And this is an inside term. those are going to multiply together. And finally, the orange is for the L, which is last. So this is the last piece of this parentheses, and this is the last piece of this parentheses. So they will multiply together. Okay, and remember, the negative comes with it. So when we're doing all this multiplication, remember to bring the negative in. Okay, so let's try them out. So let's start with our red line. First times first, that's the F. First piece times first piece. Remember our invisible ones, I added those in. So 4 times 2, that's 8. A times A, that's A squared. Okay, then we'll go to our blue line, which is our O, outside. Outside term and outside term. They're on the ends. So we got 4A times negative 9. 4 times 9, well, it's going to be negative because of that negative 9. Then 4 times 9 is 36. Then A times empty is A. Okay, if there's no variable here, your variable in the first term that's multiplying stays the same, okay? Because it's really that invisible 1, which anything times 1 does not change. All right, purple line. Hold on, let me check my chords here. Oh, we're good, okay. Purple line is our inside, I, okay? So the two pieces that are in the inside, we're going to multiply. That's the negative 5 and the 2A. All right, well, negative 5 times 2, that's negative 10. And A times empty stays A. All righty. And finally, the orange line. This is our last, L for last. So the last piece of this parentheses times the last piece of this parentheses. Negative times negative is positive. 5 times 9 is 45. Okay. So this is an answer, but we want to check to make sure it's simplified. Can I put anything together here? Well, I notice there's an A and an A. So two different terms have A in them. Not A squared. A squared is different, but just A and A. So these two I can combine. So I'm going to check what's negative. Well, we'll do that in a second. Those will combine in 1 second. First, this didn't change. So 8A squared. Now let's check. Negative 36 minus 10. That's going to be negative 46A. So then we squish those two together by subtracting them. Well, combining them. In this case, it was subtracting. Sometimes it could be plus. And at the end, we had plus 45. Okay, that's our final answer. Now that we've combined it and made it simplified. So the FOIL technique, we've used this a few times in class, I know, and it's probably been used in past years. But this is the good application for it. So we can solve binomial times binomial both ways. We can do it with FOIL like this, or we can do it just using the distributive property like we did in the last example. Okay? We'll do one more that's a little trickier. So that was binomial times binomial. What if we drop a trinomial into our distributive multiplication here? So what if I say, I want to multiply 6x plus 5. Okay, that's good. That's a binomial, 2 pieces. We know how to do that. Nothing bad so far. This is going to multiply with 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. Okay? So this piece is a trinomial, that's a little harder. 1, 2, 3 terms. So we're going to multiply a 2 terms by a 3 terms. But we can use the same idea from distributive property that we did on the other board, right? We will look at the first term that we're multiplying, this binomial here, and we'll split it up. We have our red term and our blue term. Okay? Start with the red term, 6x. Now 6x needs to multiply with all of this term. So let's write it in there. 2x squared minus 3x. So I'm just going to copy it down from over there for now. Minus 5. Okay. Doesn't look that nice. Okay, a little better. Okay, now I'm going to do my blue term. So right now, I'm distributing the pieces of the first term. The 6x is now going to distribute. Now I need to do it with the 5. So it's plus 5. And the plus 5 is going to multiply again with everything in the other term, in the other polynomial. 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. All right. So now we distribute. Multiply, multiply, multiply. So this term multiplies with each piece. So let's see. 6x times 2x squared. 6 times 2, that's 12. X, invisible 1. X to the 1 times x squared. It's going to be x to the third, right? Add the exponents when you multiply the bases. Okay, next piece. 6x times negative 3x. Well, remember, this guy has an invisible 1. But so let's do 6 times negative 3. Negative 18. Okay. X times x is x squared. That last piece for this red distribution. 6x times negative 5. Well, 6 times negative 5, that's negative 30. And the x times empty is just x. So empty is not the same as 0, remember. We didn't multiply the x by 0. We multiplied it by the empty space behind the 5. Which is a little confusing, but just remember we have 0 x's here. Or we have no x's here, so it's just the number, only the coefficients multiply. Okay. Now we're going to do the blue distribution. Multiply, multiply, multiply. And remember, when we multiply like this, like we did over here, the negative is included in those terms. So we did it without thinking in the other one, but we'll remember it this time. Okay, 5 times 2x squared. Well, 5 times 2, it's positive, so it's going to be plus 10x squared. Okay. 5 times negative 3x. Well, that's going to be negative 15x. 5 times negative 5, it's going to be negative 25. Okay. Now we need to make sure we can finish combining anything. Well, I see an x cubed term. Is there any other x cubed over there? No. So this guy's finished. Check. X squared term. Is there another x squared term? Yeah, right here. So this and this will need to combine. Okay. Then let's see. I see an x term, not x squared, not x cubed, just x, and another x term. So these will need to combine. Okay. So let's go through. Start with our biggest exponent. The x cubed, nothing changed, right? We did not combine it, so we'll just write it down here. 12x cubed. Now our x squared and our x squared. We have negative 18 plus 10. Well, that's going to be negative 8 x squareds. Okay, that's combining the purple and the purple. Now we look at our x. Negative 30 minus 15. Well, in my calculator or in my brain, that's negative 45 x's. Okay. And then at the end, we had the plain number, which we did not combine with anything. So it's minus 25. So this gives you a nice long polynomial. This polynomial has 4 pieces. I don't know if that gets named a quadrinomial, something like that. But that is our final answer.